We've got an awesome concept, characters, and a plot. Zach and I are fleshing out a feature film called BODYBUILDERS, and today we're going to continue going through those beats of the story from start to finish until we have the entire film outlined. In this crazy capitalist future, Jim works at BODYBUILDERS. He, every day, switches bodies with one of his clients, and then he lifts weights in their body in order to get them as jacked as possible. But one day, he comes back, and his body is gone. He had no idea that one of his clients, Hill, was planning on taking his body and leaving to Mars. Now, on the run from the authorities in a foreign body, Jim has to elicit the help of one of his clients in order to intercept his body. We're structuring this like an Odyssey, different chapters in a story rather than a traditional 3-act structure, similar to films like Forrest Gump or A Place Beyond the Pines. Once we're done with this, the next step is to get writing. I hope you like crazy sci-fi films as much as us. Welcome into the Fanaron.
These are going like in order of what happens, then this happens, and this happens in order of everything, right?
Yes, we're going to go through every beat of the film from start to finish, and then when we go back to read it, when we go back to write it, we're going to be like, oh, we're gonna like probably remember some stuff and write it completely off the cuff, like this, and then we'll be like, well, what happens next? And we go back here, and the very next thing will be the next thing that happens, and we just have to flesh it out.
I just don't understand why he's running. Like, he's this guy. Why is he running? Like, it's unlike him, you know? I mean, we don't know him in the movie yet. He could be that guy. But I don't think he is, you know? He's like a good guy. Why would he run? Like, and that almost, like, is this guy scary looking or something? Like, did he, yeah, like, why did he run away from him?
I almost imagine him like an agent. Like, he's like, or Men in Black, like, he's a mysterious man in a suit, or something different than the other cops. He's very stoic. He's not like, clearly not part of this jurisdiction, and so if you were waiting,
but how does he know?
Because
he's just
like
a bodybuilder.
I imagine, here's the scene. After he wakes up hours later, he's in kind of an interrogation room or a holding room. He's finishing up this conversation with the detective. Like they conclude with the detectives like, okay, let me go, you know, talk to my chief, and we're gonna figure this out together, okay? You just stay put. And he leaves the room, and when he closes the door, maybe the door doesn't close all the way, and so Jim kind of like sneaks up to the door and cracks it open a little bit, and we see the conversation from Jim's perspective, and Jim kind of overhears the police officers saying like, like the scans are all saying that he's in his right body, like but he's still claiming this, like what kind of incentive does he have? Or they're having a conversation about it, and then Jim is getting the feeling that they don't believe him. They're like, you know, he's got to be lying, like this doesn't lie, the scans don't lie, there's never been a case like this before. And then all of a sudden Blade walks in, and we get like the music changes, and it gets really like boom, and then we see Blade look very ominous as he walks in, and he says something, or he like postures to them like, I'll take it from here, like I deal with this kind of stuff, and then that is what triggers Jim to be like, okay, they don't believe him, they don't believe me, and now this guy's here, and he looks like he's gonna take me somewhere and kill me in the back alley somewhere. And so,
yeah, but like, why is he covered in scars and has like a Uzi in his hands that he walks around with and doesn't holster? Like, why is he so scary that he runs from the police while he's in a different body, trying to make a police report to get his body?
That makes sense. That's a good point that you bring up. I guess I'm imagining like the similar scenario as the scene from The Matrix when he looks up, checks up above the cubicle, and he sees the agent, and he just turns and looks right at him, and then he ducks back down below. But it's because he's on the phone.
Yeah, but he's talking to Morpheus, who's saying agents are there to come and take you.
Yeah.
You know, that's why.
Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have, if he just peeked over and saw them, he probably wouldn't have been like, oh, they're after me, I gotta run. Without Morpheus saying that. So, okay.
And I also imagine I imagine that they're still at the gym.
Yeah, they're still at the gym. So they're in like one of the rooms, one of the workout rooms, or like the office, and he's in his own office or something, waiting to be released, I guess. Or it's like, and they also wouldn't release him either if they're like, if you're stuck in the wrong body, like why would they release? I would imagine the only way that he could leave, is if he thinks that he's in danger and he leaves just to save his life.
I think they have to not be at the gym. There's too many things.
Okay.
Because unless there's a different receptionist, a new one who's there for today, or something's going on, because he'd be like, yesterday we talked about this.
Yeah.
To the receptionist, and the receptionist be like, oh yeah, it is you. Because only you knew that, you know?
Okay.
So it can't be there, because then
wait a
whatever.
Second.
And then we could say something like maybe at the police station, you know?
Okay, so I think I have an idea.
We did think of this.
Right when he's starting to freak out, he comes out, he's in Hill's body. Maybe he doesn't have a seizure. Maybe instead the police show up and they arrest him. And he's like, what's happening? What's happening? And then boom, we slam cut to he's in an interrogation table. He's locked up. And they're showing him, we've been tracking you. We know you're up to something. Like, and he's like, but that's not me. Like, I'm the trainer. And they're like, what? Like, to them, it's not, that's not the issue. The issue is they found the guy they've been looking for, and now they finally got him. And then he comes up with this story of, I know I'm a trainer. My name's Jim.
Yeah.
I did this. And then they scan him and they're like, you're a fucking liar. Like, and then he's like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm stuck here. Like, and then that would maybe incentivize him to run.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. But I still want him to have a seizure, though.
Okay.
Maybe he's at a hospital instead, handcuffed to the bed after having a seizure, and the police are like, we know, or a detective or something says we know, and blah 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 blah, and he's trying to break out, but he's like in this weak body. It's not his. He maybe says like, if I had my fucking body, I could rip this thing apart. Yeah, and then maybe something happens, like we see the silhouette of Blade outside like the office or something, and he's like, and climbs out the window, and that's how he gets out or something like that, you know, and escapes out the window, and then he goes like, and like looks out the window, and that's when we see Blade looking out the window at him, scaling down the fucking thing. That's a sick scene. That's a sick, and we think he's the antagonist, you know.
You think Blade is the antagonist because that's all we saw of him.
Because that's all we're going to see until we actually meet him, and we're going to see, almost like in Home Alone with the shoveler.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good, like,
actually, you're the nice guy who saved my life.
We don't need to be grammatically correct here. This is the outline.
Mm-hmm. These are not even the outline. It's just like beat points.
It's the beats. This is the plot.
Yeah.
It's also some of the character development. So then, how does he escape if he's handcuffed? Describe that scene again where we see Blade enter the hospital. Like.
So they go outside to guard the room and shit like that, make sure no one comes in or whatever the fuck. And he's like trying to get out, handcuffed. And I don't know how he's going to get out. How do you think he should get out?
And then what? Does he see this? He sees the silhouette?
I'm thinking when he's out now and he's looking like, how the fuck do I get out of here? They're right outside the door, and like he's kind of looking at the window, and he's like, I don't want to. And then fucking, then he sees the silhouette of a fucking person with a detective's hat in the glass or something, talking to the police, and he's like, oh shit, like I'm out of bed. Like, I'm gonna have to put the handcuffs back on, or he doesn't want to deal with that. So, split decision. He's like, all right, I have to go out the window, and he goes out the window. And then we cut to the door. It opens up. It's the guy. It's Blade or something. Or no, the door opens up, and
we don't see.
Yeah, we don't see Blade. So it'll cut right there, and then it'll go to outside, and we see him scaling down. Or maybe we see the back of him as he enters the room, and we don't actually see him. And he's like, stops, he looks, and he sees the window, runs over to the window, and then when he looks out the window is the reveal of who it is. And maybe it'll be someone cool. Who is it going to be?
Christian Bale.
Because then we're not going to name him Blade, we're going to name him this actor, and that we're thinking of, like we normally do.
Let me pitch this to you about the handcuffs. What if he's like, and he's trying to get it out, and then he gives up, and then he looks up, and he realizes that he could just slide his hands out like that, and the cops were that dumb? Or do you not want that kind of comedic relief in there?
No, I'd rather him get out. That's actually, I was trying to think, maybe he has a pick or something. Or a pin that he uses, though. But then, why is he able to do that? I was trying to think of maybe he could use his smarts, but then, how do you outsmart handcuffs? But, I would like it to be him completing it, and it's not just, failure to do their jobs.
What if in the beginning of the film, in one of the montages, one of his clients is like, hey, do the trick. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And then he handcuffs himself, or he zip ties himself instead of handcuffs.
I'd laugh if that was in the scene. If that was in a movie of them trying to explain why he could do it, it's just a magic trick he learned.
No, it's not a magic trick, but it's the way that he leverages it. He's goes like this, and he leverages it, and he can break the chain. And so then later when he's chained, he takes his knee and he puts it in there, and he leverages it, and he breaks one of his chains. I don't know. So since Jim is not a suspect in this case at all, it's just this guy, Hill, maybe he goes back to Jim's apartment and it's completely empty and it's completely abandoned, and he goes through the apartment. We could have a whole scene in the apartment where we get to kind of know what's happening a little bit more without exposition, and then we can maybe even show a client list, or he sees a picture of him with his previous clients or something. And that's how he gets the idea to go visit this other guy, this rich guy. And then from there, we can fade into that next scene.
How did he get out, though? Did we talk about
that? He jumps out the window. He doesn't want to jump out the window, but then he sees the silhouette of Blade.
But how did he get out?
Oh, I didn't. I just put. He finds a way to get out of his cuffs.
All right.
I guess we should probably
to be disclosed.
Yeah. We could do some type of a setup of payoff, but yeah, maybe even it's zip ties, and like I said, there's a way to get out of zip ties. There's a technique. It's not like a magic trick. There's an actual technique that we can reference, and he knows how to do it. So he does it.
Yeah, but just to be disclosed.
To be disclosed. So
now we saw Blade. He's escaped down the hospital and he's running away.
Let me ask you this too. What if we make Blade, if Blade is a part of a dark organization that nobody knows about, then he probably doesn't want anybody to really be paying attention to what he's doing. So if there's somebody that he could pass out with like a needle to the neck or a chloroform thing and have them just look like they're sleeping and forget all about him. Maybe we have in the silhouette he does
Spy
that.
shit.
Yeah,
Spy shit.
maybe. Yeah,
I'd rather him not do spy shit and do like authority things, like flash badges and whatever. I even think I was just thinking, like, imagine we have him. He works for the patent office.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of authority they have, but patents are everywhere, right? Across the entire world, so that's a global thing, right?
Yeah, maybe especially during this time because it's very capitalist and it's yeah, so he works for the patent office and he's what, trying to cover up this crime from coming out because it would ruin
No,
the patent
he's
for the mind swap technology or something like that? Investigating something?
I don't know. He is okay. So the technology is
I always thought he
being
was like
used
CIA.
for bodybuilders. It's the technology is being used for the bodybuilders. They're like the only business that's doing it. But there is a secret business of like longevity and like rulers and really rich people doing it. But like that's black market. The patent office or the whatever made that illegal.
So he's chasing this guy
So yeah, he's chasing this guy who broke a patent.
who's selling permanent mind swaps to rich people, and then he also does it himself.
Or even better, on top, that's what he does. That's what his job is. But this other thing that Phil or Hill did is hacked the patent office. So all the patents, the secret patents, that aren't allowed to be exposed and all the different things and secrets and whatever the fuck, he has all that shit. So he's selling patents.
He's selling patents and he's using...
He broke in. He learned that in the original patent for the mind swap thing, it's not just a cap that you wear.
It's a permanent procedure.
It was originally a permanent procedure. You just do that and you take it off. And he learned that, and then that's how he used it. So that's like the implications of him breaking into the patent office. He has the original documents of all things, not just like the handed down things that the government is like, oh, let's see the patent.
Sick.
Takes a few pages out. Here you go.
Dude, that's a sick idea. I like that a lot, and that makes a lot of sense for his character as well. So, okay, cool.
And that's interesting, a patent office.
Yeah.
But, like, this is, like, also the future one world government fucking patent office. So, like, it's pretty powerful,
Yeah.
And the level of, I mean, that's another thing. Like, patent offices deal with, like, super top secret shit, Like, Tesla shit, They have that, and you're not allowed to get it. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. There's so many interviews coming out nowadays about all of those secret patents and how crazy it's possibly about to get in the world, which I hope it does.
Yeah.
Because I want to see anti-gravity technology, and I want to see interstellar travel, and I want to see aliens and all that shit. Dude.
You know how the fucking future shit that we always write about sort of like comes true? This patent shit? This is going to be one of those things.
That the patent office, like it's like IRS on steroids. They come after your patent. Like if you do something that's classified within the patent office, you try to patent it, we're coming after you. We're just going to murder your family. He sees a
he jumps out the window.
Of him with Dick. The whole scene that we came up with.
Why is Dick and Why? Oh, apartment with him and Dick. Okay, so he jumps out the window.
He goes
Blue
back to
thing.
his apartment.
Blue thing in between at the bottom of.
Oh yeah,
He jumps
okay.
out the window.
You're right. You're right. Sick. Okay, he goes back to his apartment, looks around, sees a photo of him with Dick. So he decides to visit Dick and seek asylum because he knows he's powerful.
He breaks.
Yeah, because like everything's synced to their PDA device and he doesn't have it.
Yeah, and he breaks into it, but then and it goes where, and he just does the code.
Yeah,
Because he knows the code once he's inside. It just wouldn't open for him, you know?
And then maybe he has to leave because one of his neighbors comes by and he's like, Jim, is that you? What happened? And he's like, who the hell are you? And he goes, oh, hey. And then he says his name. He's like, it's me, it's Jim. And he goes, I'm calling the cops. And he goes back to his, and he's like, shit, what do I do? And then he like looks over and he sees the picture.
And then that's how Blade knows he goes to Dick's, is because he sees fingerprints on the picture.
Or even a camera picture of him breaking into the apartment.
Or no, he sees the recent footsteps of the fat guy in the apartment, and he's following the footsteps, and he stands and he looks, and right in front of him is the picture of him and Dick.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he's going to Dick's.
He follows them and they stop like right there, and he follows them and he stops, and then he looks up and right there's the picture, and then
yeah.
Oh, dude, this is cool. All
right, so he breaks into his
the alarm goes off. His neighbor.
Apartment looks around.
I'm fixing some stuff now on there.
Yeah, but these are points. These are good points. Just like that. And then he decides to go visit on client Dick in the asylum.
Neighbor calls the police.
Oh, that's good. See, this is what I mean about the thing that fucking we're good at. Like we're not doing the thing and therefore, on the side.
Yeah.
And it's all just flowing. It's all flowing real good.
It's flowing real good, like. His neighbor calls the police, and so his neighbor leaves and says, I'm calling the cops, and he leaves, and we stay on Dick. And Dick is panicking. He like starts grabbing things, and then he walks over to the cabinet, and then he looks up, and he sees the picture of Dick. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he like grabs the client paper with all the addresses and stuff from all his old clients, and he runs out the door. And then we follow him down the street all the way to Dick's place. I think this would be a good cut point where like we see the whole scene of the hologram, and then we go inside, and he's starting to convince Dick. He's like, why should I believe you? And he says something about his knee, and he's like, I remember that knee every single day working out. And then he goes, Jim, it is you. And then they like hug, and then we cut to Blade arriving at Jim's house.
What's going on here?
And then after we see that tiny snippet of Blade, we go back to Dick's house, and then that's when Dick uses the beanie to hack in to Jim, because that's like a slower scene now.
Wait, did I do this right?
Where did you put? Oh yeah, you did it. You did it right. It's just, look, watch this. Sorry, there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we cut to Blade, and we see him at Jim's house tracking the footprints. And then we go back to Dick's house, and we see him put the beanie on his head and search for the memories.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I like that. Yeah, because that made sense. The point that you said is like it would still the format would still be there, and then that we came up with the seizures. Oh, that's actually better than quick plan. Is
The planning happens down here.
Jim? Wait, Jim has another PSU.
No. SEIFURE.
Pfizer? A Pfizer?
He has another Pfizer.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's another reason why fucking what's his face, Dick believes him and knows that he needs his help.
And maybe Dick knows that this procedure actually can be permanent. That because of his namesake, he knows some things about the world that most people don't know. And he goes, "Yeah, I've actually heard of this happening before. Like these, like your brain is permanently seizing or fusing with this body, and."
But like also, he's gonna be. He wants to help a little bit because his family is going to be implicated in any of this knowledge dump that fucking this guy would do, you know? But then again, he is on his way apparently to Mars to be one of the founders of Lemnos.
Yeah, he's about to clear basically everything that he owns off of Earth and never come back.
Yeah.
And
so
maybe that's actually a cool thing.
But he's letting him. He's helping him a little bit, you know, while he's also about to flee. You know, just nothing too out of the way for him. You know.
You know, what if we actually had a really cool scene where they're about to leave and Blade shows up and Blade breaks in and then they leave out the back and then he like blows his house up and he blows his own house up with Blade inside, or when he thinks Blade is inside. And or collapses his entire house. Blade somehow survives because it wasn't an explosion. And Jim's like, "Why would you do that?" And he goes, "I'm never coming back here." And it's like hinting to the fact that he's leaving.
Yeah, I like that, but
and then later on, that could also cause a funny like tension moment where he's like, "Oh, you're a good guy," and Blade's like, "Yes," and he's like, "Sorry, sorry about the house thing." I don't know.
I like that, but I also imagine it being like a sick house, and I don't want to see it get destroyed. It's gonna have like art and shit in it.
I think it should get destroyed because of how sick it is. I don't know. That's just an idea.
Undisclosed.
Yeah,
undisclosed.
So, but regardless, they have to move fast and get to Rapture. So now there's a blue line, except it's black. And then, they head to the spaceport on the iceberg island. And then, so this is like, we could have an entire like 20-minute scene here on the iceberg if we want to have another epic or like another.
He has to meet somebody.
Yeah, he does, and maybe that person doesn't go along with them along the rest of their trip, but maybe it's somebody that Dick introduces him to, and he helps them get off of the iceberg by like distracting Blade or something like that. But then he ends up staying, and they end up leaving, and then we have a whole nother 20-minute section on Dick's space station, and then we finally get to the moon, and we have probably another.
Yo, sick. Whoever this guy is, he's meeting him because it's Dick Richmond, Paul Richmond's son, and one of the things they say to each other back and forth is, "Oh, you ready for your trip? You ready to go? And whatever the guy could be, like, yep, I'm ready. What about you?
Yeah, but he never says where he's going.
Now. Yeah, they never say it. But, like, this will be like a trend, too, through the movie with, like, these rich and powerful people.
They're all leaving.
Yeah, they're just leaving to go do this other thing on Mars and found it. Like, kind of like a... What's that called? Atlas Shrugged, where all the fucking people the business owners start leaving and
I think that
doing
is
their own
Atlas
thing in
Shrugged.
this certain city or whatever. But yeah, something like that.
That's a cool
in that
idea.
fashion. Yeah, in that fashion, they'll do that.
Okay, so then we're gonna have to have a whole story arc. Like, essentially, we'll come up each location will almost be like a different episode of a show that all blends together into a movie. So we'll do then Iceberg,
like Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, dude.
That movie has all the different locations and everything. It's like a slower pace, so like it all works. That's a good example. Yeah.
And then we'll have the climax is on Rapture. And because he gets arrested on Rapture, he goes to the Rapture jail, which is the 3x of Earth's gravity or something like that. And most people are like dragging, and he's doing push-ups.
Rapture is the iceberg.
No, Rapture is the city on the moon.
That's Cairn now. Remember, we changed it. Rapture used to be what it was called.
Oh, so then I'm assuming... Yes, okay, obviously it's called Cairn, but that's what I was assuming it was because that was the original conception of that idea, that they had to get to Cairn for some reason because that's where the archives are with all of this information. It would be in the center of, like, the capital of all of Earth is on the moon, right, at this point? So let me actually change this to Cairn.
Cairn City.
Yes.
Because nobody says the moon anymore. That's another thing that we're going to make a thing.
They just call it Cairn?
It's called Cairn. The moon is now called Cairn.
Yeah.
And
like the United States of America is America, even though there's North America, South America. When you say America, you're talking about the United States of America.
Yeah. So it's Cairn City. During the scam, he has a seizure. They move fast to go to Cairn City.
Yes.
Or no, they'll say Jim hitches a ride with Dick, who is on the way to Mars. Parentheses to found Lemnos. All right, they head to the spaceport on Iceberg Island.
This is such a cool, like,
they head to the iceberg on Iceberg Island. Blue Blade, or whatever his name is, tracks fucking Dick's speeder or whatever they're in instead of going to his house. So now we know he's on the way to Iceberg Island. And now they arrive at Iceberg Island. or they get out and are greeted by that Jenkins guy or whoever was there.
Yeah.
And that Jenkins guy was sent by the person who they're going to meet, who would be like maybe like the CEO or manager of Iceberg Island. And that's where the guy he's talking to about, like, oh, you ready to leave? Wink, wink, hint, hint.
Okay, so here's a couple things to think about. When is Blade going to actually interact with and join up and team up with Jim, and how
On the moon.
when as soon as they get to the moon?
Yeah.
And then how is he going to know that Jim is actually the good guy? Does he have a procedure that other normal people don't have? Like almost like in Blade Runner, where he has like a special test that not everybody knows?
That would be good, but also the other clues too, you know.
He puts it together maybe, but we're not cutting back to him very much. So we want to make it up until the point where they actually interact. We want to make it seem like Blade is a bad guy chasing him down. And because we're not even paying any attention to Hill at this point, as soon as they team up, then we start cutting back over to Hill and see what he's been up to.
He arrives at Dick's place and speaks to the hologram assistant. At first, Dick doesn't believe, and
so Dick, let's start here. Dick after he arrives at Dick uses the beanie. Well, we cut away. Blade arrives at Jim's house and he sees the footage of Hill's body breaking into his house, and he tracks Jim's footprints and he sees the photo of Dick, just like we discussed. Then Dick uses we come back to Dick and Jim. Dick uses a beanie to try to see some trace memories in Hill's memory stems.
yeah, but he's revealed, like, to be his client, because of who he was, there had to be an NDA, and he had to sign the NDA, and the fact that, like, you're going into another person's body and you're working it out and you're getting this, relationship, that's why he's trusted, That's why Dick is also that's the reason. We always had that he was a prior client, but, like, the real connection was, I guess, the NDA, and that it was never broken, and that he knows the thing about his knee or whatever
so
it
he
is.
says the thing that nobody else should know. He trusts Jim, and so, I mean, the only conclusion that Dick can come to when he hears the personal information about himself that Jim's going to reveal in order to convince him that he's Jim, the only two conclusions is either you're telling the truth and you're Jim, or Jim lied, he told you, and you're coming here and pretending to be Jim. What's the more logical one, I guess, is the fact that you are Jim, because we live in this world where people can switch bodies. So it makes sense.
Is there a police order against him now because he's kind of on the run?
Maybe not a police.
I think because he escaped from the hospital, remember?
Yeah.
I think he should know that the police are after him, and
Dick should know.
Dick should know about that. But Dick clearly knows who Jim is, and if Jim could prove it, then he knows for a fact that is not his body, and will help him like that. But also, he has to find out if the crime was committed before or after he switched the body to know if he's to be trusted. And clearly Jim is to be trusted. He wasn't there for the crime or whatever.
Yeah. What was the crime?
The hacking shit.
So it's already all over the news?
I guess because he ran. It wasn't on the news because they were trying to keep it a secret so he wouldn't go on the run, them knowing that they're onto him like that. But once they caught him, they made a press release, for media reasons. And that now everyone knows this guy was caught, but then he escapes, making them look bad, and now they're trying to find him.
Okay, so then, like, on the news, it's like a known terrorist was in apprehension. A known terrorist and hacker was in, but didn't, they don't say his name. They maybe show his face, and then Dick, when he shows up, Dick sees him, lets him in, but then like maybe holds him up at gunpoint, and he's like, I can get.
There's guns built into the door frame or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, and calls it off with his hand thing, and like you see things just like random things in the room just go.
That's pretty cool.
That you didn't notice were there.
And that way, it's like it shows his ingenuity.
Like, Jesus Christ, Dick! What the fuck is with the security here? That's insane, or something. He's like, who are you exactly? Like, the NDA never really revealed anything or something. I don't know.
Well, I feel like maybe if everybody knows who Dick is because he's being recognized all over the street, I feel like Jim would know too. It would be like if we met Elon Musk, we wouldn't be like, "Who are you, man? You got rocket ships and stuff." Like it's Dick Richmond, man.
No, I get it, but it's not like it's only the super elites are recognizing Dick. Like, there shouldn't be a billboard for him. I don't know if we actually did write that down, but there shouldn't be any, like, real, like, it's like Soros, we only know who he is because people revealed it to him, but he was that way for, like, 90 years.
Yeah.
And nobody knew who he was,
Yeah, and we took the thing about the billboard, and we just had that personal connection with him. So, okay,
yeah.
Cool. So he's like, wait, how powerful are you?
Know who he is. Yeah, exactly, Almost like some random important family member in like the Arab shit, Yeah. There's so many of them, and like they all kind of like look the same anyway and dress the same and have the same beard. Like they're hidden. You're never gonna know.
All right, cool. I like that. Then using info from the NDA. NDA is non-disclosure?
Or something, yeah.
Okay, so cool. Dick finds that within the memory scan, he finds an address on Cairn City, in Cairn City. They know that he's going after information in a server farm. He's a hacker that steals government secrets and sells them to the black market. That's a cool background too, because it's almost like some of the whistleblowers coming out nowadays, and how I feel like I look to them as heroes, but yet everybody is like, he's a terrorist, he's a traitor, he's giving away American secrets. No, yeah, to the American public, and he's telling the people the truth that's been hidden from us for years. So it's like he's almost like a Robin Hood character. Another example that you always love to bring up is Die Hard, the guy who's stealing from the bank, Hans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's the good guy.
from some corporate guy who's perfectly willing to let his people die for his money.
Yep. So he's the good guy. So anyway, during the scan, Jim has another seizure and a bloody nose. They know that something's up. Maybe Dick knows a little bit more than he's leading on, because he is more influential and powerful than he seems. And then Jim hitches a ride with Dick on his way to Mars to found a new city on Mars that we're calling Lemnos. And it's the cool thing about this story is, like, Zach and I have kind of a series, a franchise that we're building within the same universe, but every story that's told is a different story within the universe, but it's all influenced by each other. So it's, I guess, what they should have done with Star Wars, but they ended up messing that shit up. And but that's what we're trying to do with this. So this takes place in the same universe as two of our other films that we have written, or their TV series. So
they've taken over the moon and made it for 100 years. That's Cairn now. That's what it's called, and so it's in like the vocabulary that Cairn is now the new name of the moon.
Just like
when people say
language changes through society and through like pop culture, just look at the emoji language that is going on right now. That if 100 years ago you'd be like, "What the heck does this symbol mean?" It's like hieroglyphics. So, but anyway, so they head to the spaceport on Iceberg Island, and we can show maybe a little montage there of them heading to the island. And this island is going to be really cool. Then Blade tracks Dick's speeder towards the iceberg, so he doesn't even need to go to Dick's house. He knows that Jim is with Dick, but now we're going to continue to follow Jim and Dick to the iceberg. So, so when they get there, so now the way that we're structuring this isn't like your traditional 3-act structure. This is going to be the start of almost like an episode, like a mini. What do you keep calling it?
An Odyssey.
An Odyssey. So this is a chapter from the Odyssey. So it'll be almost like its own little mini arc on the iceberg. And then we're going to have another one on the space station, and then we're going to have another one on Cairn City, and then that one on Cairn City will lead to the climax, which will then just conclude everything else, and we can go back to that ordinary world. But what do you think should happen on the iceberg? Like you said, he has to meet someone.
Well, they're greeted by one of the elites, and it's revealed this elite knows Paul, and they
Dick
both talk about how they're leaving for Lemnos, and this is going to be a repeated theme through the movie, is that all these like really rich, crazy dudes are leaving to go found their own place, and it's going to be on Mars. But like we know this because we're writing it, but the people in the movie wouldn't know this. There would be conspiracy theories, and that's one of the informations that's hacked by Hill in Jim's body. Is one of these informations is their plans for this Lemnos thing that they're going to be building.
So then, so what's the main conflict here on the iceberg?
Should we hint in any way when they get to the moon that some of these druids, or some like a druid somewhere, is alive?
No, because that has nothing to do with this story, and I don't want to fall into. Well, I don't want to fall into the same trap as Marvel.
Everybody's going to Lemnos. Is it inevitably they are still alive? They don't die. If they do die, they're genetically made again to be a different body shape and stuff, because they're always looking for like this different mental thoughts. That's why they have different body shapes, is because a fat one will go about and doing things just a tiny bit different, even though their intellect is all the same.
Yeah, but the story of the druids and the story of Lemnos are not this story. We want to maybe put tiny Easter eggs in there, but not a whole setup and they're going to expect this to have some type of significant payoff within the film, and it really doesn't. It's just like, hey, where are you headed? Headed to Mars for a secret mission. Like, we're starting a new city. Blah blah blah. Then they leave, and then he leaves.
Just like a little line, because if I remember, at the end of Cairn, the episodes, one of the things is the scientists or the druids go to Mars. So they would have been doing this, like building it with AI and robots and all their super smart, crazy equipment and shit. So they're building the foundation and secret compartments and everything like that are going to be in the city of Lemnos. And now that the city is kind of built 100 years later, now it's being filled in by these elites who were chosen by, inevitably, the druids.
Dude, I'm on the same page about the lore of the world. I'm just saying we do not need to continue to push the plot of going to Mars and starting Lemnos and the druids are alive and this is part of this bigger universe, because what we should be focusing on is the main conflict in the movie. All of those things are extra details that, whether they're in the movie or not in the movie will be the same, because the story of the arc of the person will be the same. You know what I mean? So I love having those Easter eggs in there, but we shouldn't focus on them, and we shouldn't take any time away from from the story to have exposition about another movie or another script that has nothing to do with this one other than the fact that it's 100 years later. Like, so that's just what I'm don't want to be too focused on that. We'll just have those Easter eggs sprinkled in. So what's going to be the main conflict here on the iceberg? Maybe it has
Well, it's going to seem like because they're being tracked. But wait, do they know they're being? They don't know they're being tracked.
No, it'll be that's the climax of this chapter. It'll be revealed that Blade finds them, chases after them, and then there has to be like some type of a distraction in order for them to escape. But while they're here on the actual iceberg, there should be a conflict, a challenge, or a problem that they have to solve that leads to the chase at the end. And it should be like its own almost like a mission in a video game, its own closed loop that then feeds into the next one. So whether that's he needs to get a passport to leave Earth, and they have to do it like underground and like, you know, in a you know, black market way, or maybe it has to do with
okay, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe the passport situation, and he has to go black market, but either way, Paul is going, or I keep calling him Paul, Dick is going to have to take him to somebody who wants in on Lemnos. And like, it's the secret back and forth talk between him negotiating. Oh, you want this thing from me? Get me a ticket to where you're going.
Ooh,
I know where you're going.
Almost like a shady, like,
yeah,
someone who's an acquaintance of this person, but maybe Dick buys something on some black market stuff from
Dick
him, and so
he's like, "Don't you understand? The whole point of this city and new place is to keep people like you out, or something like that."
That's freaking dirty.
So like,
that's dirty.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, we have to do something like that. I think a cool meeting to where a person who wants in on Lemnos and knows about it and shit.
Okay, I'm down for that, but as long as it also like.
Okay.
As long as it all is also, well. Okay, hold on. The thing that's the main conflict in this whole thing is this information that's going to get out, and Lemnos is clearly a part of this like misinformation that's being held secret within the patent office, and so maybe it all ties into that, and we can like get some exposition out about the information that's being stolen essentially within this conversation about going to Mars. Because their plan is to start a whole new government that's completely independent. And if I had a choice of going and starting a whole new government that's completely independent based off of like a republic somewhere else,
on a new,
I would be like,
you know?
Yeah, I'd be like, sign me up, because the thing that we're doing right here in this country, the freest country on earth, it ain't working, my friends. So like, if I could have a blank slate, like, please, come on, Mr. Richmond, come on, please let me come with you. If you,
yeah.
You don't understand. It's your kind who ruined it here on Earth. No, I don't know. Maybe he's not that dark, but something like that.
Well, no, like, yeah, they're trying to make something else. You know, it's not.
And so he turns them away.
It's there. Well, they're trying to do their own thing.
So maybe the dude threatens Dick. Dick still denies him, but he said, you know,
Dick kills him.
Ooh, I was gonna say, damn.
No, but he gives them plenty of chances to like. He says like, no, we're not doing that. I'll give you money. I'll give you anything you want. We're not doing that. You can't go. It wouldn't even be up to me for you to be able to. And then he doesn't let him leave until he's allowed to go. And then Dick has no reason or he has to kill him. Okay. And then he kills him. Dude. And then they're arrested or something like that. And this is where,
well, it seems like if Dick does that,
so this is where the other elite will come in. He's arrested, or they're all arrested in this shootout that happens, or something like that. And when they're in the interrogation office, that's when the other elite dude comes in, and because he's with Dick, and they know each other, and he's another one who's about to go to Lemnos.
And so he gets them out.
He lets him get out, obviously, and they get this guy out because he explains it to him, or something like that.
And as they're leaving, Blade walks around the corner and sees them leaving, and then they're like, "Run!" And they all just run. They don't even wait. And then yeah, okay, cool. I like that.
Well, they have to know who Blade is. Do they know who Blade is?
Dick knows, or not Dick, but Jim knows who Blade is because he saw his silhouette. Maybe we could even cut back.
Can't really know the silhouette like that.
Maybe he's wearing something distinct, like a hat.
We'll just have him scream out and brandish a gun.
Yeah, he goes, "Freeze!"
Yeah, or something like that.
He didn't even
exactly.
Yeah,
and then they run.
And then they run. So yeah, that definitely triggers a running if they're trying to escape.
Mm-hmm. And then the drones come, and because he has the weapon, the drones go after him. You know.
Okay, so I have a question.
We'll get okay.
There might be a plot hole right here. That how does the black market guy know about Lemnos if it is a secret that's only being kept by the elites?
Because we'll make the iceberg thing a hub for everyone to go off planet, like it's the cheapest place. Oh, but damn it!
Maybe he just figures it out. Maybe he's like, "Look, I know what's happening. I know that you're leaving." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going on a little vacation." He goes, "No, I know what's happening." And then
these people, and he just names like some fake names or whatever.
Yeah.
All these high stakes, trillionaires or something like that, are leaving.
And then at that point,
you think I don't know the cargo and stuff that goes through these terminals or something?
Yeah.
He makes it so he clearly knows that and noticed the pattern. He's like, I want in on wherever you guys are going because none of you guys come back.
Because there's no return flights.
Yeah.
There's no. Or ever since this started happening, no one has come back. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they're not.
And
they're,
well, and then
Aaron, you guys aren't there. So where are you guys going?
Yeah, and then that could be a point where Jim, like, obviously overhears the conversation, and he goes, "That's what you're doing? Like, that's where you're going? You're leaving for good?" And then Jake is like, "Look, this doesn't concern either of you. Like, I'm helping you out, and you're helping us out. Everyone's life is going to go on,
Yeah, I'm going to make you filthy rich."
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't something that either of you should even be questioning me about.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the disagreement here? You don't want what you want. You don't want to be the richest person in the world. I don't want to go up there. How about we all just do this?
And then maybe he has it. Maybe he agrees, but then then they go away, and there's another scene somewhere else on the iceberg when they go back to get the passport. He has the passport, but then he holds it, and he has like a button in his hand for the authorities, right? He's like, he rings the authorities in it. Oh, okay. He rings the authorities in his pocket or something like that, or on his PDA.
Kills him.
And that's why he kills him. He rings the authorities.
We need a little bit of action here too.
Yeah.
So this has Paul is this guy who will do that.
So then
I'm thinking like Clint Eastwood's son. That's the actor. Maybe I imagine.
Is he gonna die?
He's a good guy, but remember, he's basically the kind of person growing up and everything as like Paul Richmond, a guy who is inevitably trying to do the best for the human race, but knows logistics of battle and can see people as just numbers lost.
Yeah, and so he has to maybe
picture manipulation kind of guy too.
Well, I think that him killing someone in cold blood, even if it's to help Jim questions that at some point. He's like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Held hostage at this point. It's just he's like, he could be waiting for it, like, just give me a chance and I'll fucking kill you or something like that. But like, he's waiting for, okay, you're literally holding me hostage right now. I am going to escape.
Yeah, he gives him
involved.
every opportunity, and then maybe when Jim does, like, I think that Jim should like feel uncomfortable about it because someone just died, and then Paul can like
Hmm.
defend himself. He could be like, he was gonna turn both of us in. Like we had to do it, and
No,
he's
he
a
was. He
small
was.
number in the scope of things.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then Jim's like, well, if he's such a small number in the scope of things, aren't I too? Why are you helping me? And he goes, and he has to give some type of like reply, like, so that way he's like this mysterious character. He's almost like we don't know what he's going to do.
No.
We don't trust him, but he's helping. So it's like we got to just go along
Well,
with it.
I think a sly thing. The camera's looking at him from behind Jim, and Jim's looking at him, and the dead body's in the background, and he goes like, well, "I'm not an asshole." And you're seeing a dead body behind him, a little jokey poo right there.
That's actually pretty cool because it's like darker and deeper than.
Yeah, but also it's the truth. He's like, he's not an asshole.
No, he's actually a really nice guy.
He killed a scumbag, you know, in cold blood, but like he killed a scumbag.
Look, yeah, exactly. To protect people.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that our characters are very gray. They're not black and white. They're not like good versus evil. It's like good people do bad things and bad people do good things. It's like, come on.
Well, so far, Jim is completely good and innocent. You know?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That is cool.
And he shouldn't change. Now that I'm thinking about it, he doesn't. No. At the very end, because he is in jail, he has to. And I like the idea of him working out angrily, but.
Okay. There could be an argument between Dick and Jim. When Jim is saying killing is wrong, Dick is saying, "Do you see what just happened to you? What are you trying to do? Get your body back? Don't you want vengeance on this person who took your body?"
Well, not vengeance. It's like what he's like. Well, what if? I don't know.
Yes,
this is
but essentially, it's like
that we'll worry about later. But like,
yes,
yeah.
But essentially, his argument is that why do you work out? Why are you in the best shape of anyone I ever know if you're not going to use it to defend yourself? Like that's the whole point: is survival of the fittest. That person was going to prevent both of us from surviving, and so
no, because Jim clearly does it for mind, body, spirit, and routine and discipline. He does it for different reasons. He's not really doing it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Listen. If we set it up like that, where Jim's like, no, I don't do this for revenge. I don't do it for violence. I do it for this mind-body connection. Then his change, that's a setup, because at the very end, when he's in prison, he's like, fuck this guy. I'm done with mind-body. I'm doing push-ups for revenge now. And that's that change that he goes through.
Okay.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I see.
Because other than that, you're right. That's his arc. He stays good the whole time until the very end when he gets pushed over the edge, and he's like, after all of this, I'm the one who goes to jail, and he's like, now I'm out for revenge. But we have to make that clear by setting up the whole. It doesn't have to be what I'm explaining, but by setting it up in the beginning, somehow he's a good person. He doesn't want revenge. He just wants to go back to normal.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say before too. I was thinking before they get to the iceberg city.
Okay.
Fucking we cut first instead of back to them, Jim and Dick going towards the iceberg city.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to what's his face?
Hill?
We cut to Hill with the girl doing a thing, taking a private jet up into the city, and they get in, takes off, and then we cut to Jim and Dick going towards it, and we see them going up. So they just missed them.
Oh, I could even see like we're inside of a
cut.
The cut is this. It's like we see the spaceship lift off, and then the camera pans over here, and then their speeder is coming up.
Well, yeah, but like the way it is, it's like we're in the ship with Hill, and it goes up, and then we cut out to see the ship going up, and then as we're cut out in the same cut, yeah, we like just pan over, tilt over, and see them going towards it, and then we cut back into that and see it's them.
Okay,
going
I like
there.
that.
You know,
I like that. Okay, so we see Hill, yeah, on a transport shuttle with a woman.
just
What do they talk about? Is he threatens her?
well, I'm thinking about one cool thing that would be cool would be he'll be like, yeah, with this body, they definitely accept me in, right? And he's talking about Lemnos, because like
that's how we connect it all. Okay,
like it. Okay,
I like that because now his goal is to get to Lemnos.
yeah.
Okay, and it's not even about the information at that point. Like, that's cool because then we can really lean into the whole Mars thing. Okay. I love light bulb moments. At the end of the film, Hill gets away, and Jim is imprisoned in Hill's body. But I say Hill doesn't get away.
Blade has been killed,
and Blade dies. But I think that Hill doesn't get away with Jim's body. Jim's body dies somehow. But Hill gets away because because then that will trigger the vengeance that he wants. He's like, now I can't even get my body back. I'm in prison in someone else's body, and it's like I need to get out of here. Like there's the option of getting his body back is now gone. It's like the stakes at that point get raised so much, and then it will also lead into Hill actually getting accepted into Lemnos because he trades bodies with maybe this other elite person who we meet at what's it at the Iceberg City. Yeah, so it's like maybe he switches bodies with
not at the Iceberg City.
We meet an elite guy right at the Iceberg City. He greets them, and then maybe that guy later on we see him again. I don't know. It doesn't matter who it is, but it could be an elite.
I really like the idea of his body being killed, but how about this? In some sort of, at one point, like he's in a ship and the ship explodes, and Jim Star is like, no, my body, you know, it's dead. Now I'm in this forever, and then whatever, and that. But then the lights turn on in like another ship, and fucking it's Jim Hill Star, and takes off towards Mars.
I was even gonna say he's on we at the very end after the credits or something, we cut to a transport ship, like a cruise ship on its way to Mars, and we see somebody, an elite that we are introduced to earlier, and he goes, oh, hey, nice to meet you. My name's so-and-so. And he goes, hey, I'm Jim. And and then we pan over and it's him. Kind of like at the end of Swordfish when we don't know, we think, really? Oh, well, it's very similar. There's an explosion with the helicopter. We think that the bad guy dies. And then we're believed that he's dead for the whole time until the very, very last shot before the credits roll. Somebody's driving a boat and the camera pans up and it's him. And it's like, oh, after all of that, he survived. But I mean, that's essentially what you're saying too. But I was saying have it be like he's introducing somebody. He's introducing himself to somebody. But we could have him just flying away too. Like I think that's a cool reveal. Okay, let's get some of these beats written because I think that we're making some good progress. They have to get Jim a passport. We can call it something else. To leave Earth from a black market sale. They use Dick's connection at the spaceport.
It's not a passport, because that's kind of.
Well, I'm just using passport. That's what it is. It's a ticket. It's a pass. It's like allowance.
We'll do. What's his face? Blade made him be a no-fly thing. Like he was gonna get whatever.
Okay.
You know, and get on his ship and go up to the womb spaceship that he has, and
so they're about to get on a ship, but they're
so he needs to be smuggled up. Both need to be smuggled off the ship.
Well, technically, Dick doesn't need to be smuggled off.
Yeah, he's a no-fly, and that's also. That could be a point of interest of him saying, like, how the fuck am I a no-fly? Who is this guy after us?
Oh, and that we can also show...
He's surprised that that his rank outranks his at being a Blade Runner guy.
Okay. Try boarding Dick's
private ship. But it's
or something. Shuttle. But they are stopped because Jim is on a no-fly status. Well, then that kind of like that could be the reason why he gets arrested, right? Because they see him, he's on a no-fly status, detain if you see these people, and so they're like, well, we have to detain you both, and so he doesn't shoot anybody.
Yeah, no.
I like that idea, so I want to keep it in. So it makes more sense if he's trying to buy a passport from a black market guy, unless
they get to the iceberg thing, the things happen, he gets to try to board his ship. He is in his ship saying like, I'm trying to take off, and like it's AI lock, you know, and they're like, just remain there and we'll try and settle this. And Dick will be like, Dad, something's up, and they have to leave, and then they see a bunch of police come and blah blah blah, and they hear like find them, like we have to bring them in, or like, ah, shit, we have to bring them in. They're disappointed in it, but like it goes to show that they're going to bring them in because like they're even thinking themselves. But like and that triggers him to go to the black market guy to smuggle him out, and because he just needs to get to his ship, and his ship can go to Mars. You know, his ship is fine.
He just needs to get off planet.
Yeah, he just needs to get up there.
Okay. Dick punches the guard out and they board. The ship is locked by the authorities. Okay, so hold on a second. The whole killing thing now. So then they run. They go to the black market guy. He says, "No, fuck you guys. If you don't let me come to Lemnos, I'm gonna turn you in." And then Dick kills him. And then right when he kills him, they're about to get on the ship, and then he's arrested. And then they're arrested.
No, the shootout will have it like be like he shoots the guy,
yeah,
killing him. Almost like Django, how it's like he kills the main person, and then kind of people who are there. Some people run away, some people shoot back because like now their main source of income is gone, you know. And this guy shoots. So that shootout happens. It'll be like a minute or two, and then whatever happens, maybe whatever happens, like it's up to Jim to shoot somebody to save Dick, and like he's afraid to shoot somebody or something, and the police come in, and shoot the guy. It's everyone drop your weapons. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you guys are in trouble. You know, we have detained orders on you guys or some shit. And then they're detained. And then the elite that they met at the thing walks in and says, you know, you're making me pull all my cards or something like that to get you out. But, like, it doesn't matter anymore. Am I right? Or something like that. And then they leave.
Okay, cool.
And-
I like that.
And then the guy turns around and he's like, oh, yeah, you can leave too. Go ahead.
They go to a black market smuggler working at the spaceport and try to get smuggled out. But he refuses unless he can be taken to Lemnos. Data dump moment. Cool. There is when Dick refuses, there is a shootout. And then Jim has to pick up a weapon to defend himself, but he cannot bring himself to fire. The cops arrive and
at the nick of time,
them.
Or should I say at the copper of time?
What?
You know, nickel and copper.
Oh. Ha! Okay. Cops arrive and arrest them. In the interrogation room, suddenly, the rich elite from earlier, and there's a setup and payoff, I love it, breaks them out. And then he says, like, we can go on my ship, essentially.
Yeah. Or whatever.
And then he drops them off at the womb. And then from the womb, they're gonna fly past Karen, and he's gonna drop off Jim at Karen, right?
Station. No, space station. From space station to Cairn, and then from Cairn, that's the end. We're adding space station in there.
Okay, we're gonna add iceberg. No, space station. What I called space station was actually the womb.
No, we're gonna have the womb, but the womb's short. The womb is like 5 minutes. You know, he's in the womb. They walk around. It's really cool. He's sort of whatever conversation happens because the womb is a Cairn construction, so it gravitationally goes at super speed, goes wherever it wants. You know, so it's a short trip to the space station. You know, and then he gets to the space because he's not going to drop him off at Cairn. Like,
I guess
for whatever.
Yeah,
the moon is far away. Like, he would have to go all the way to the moon, only to then go to Mars. When meanwhile he could just go straight because he has the Cairn technology. It's not like he has to get a gravitational loop or anything. You know.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That could be a thing. Like the ship that the other guy is in could be like, you know, an Earth ship or whatever the fuck.
Okay, so that makes sense. I guess what about getting to Lemnos? Maybe because if we've now discovered that the main goal of Hill is to get to Lemnos, maybe the main launching point to Lemnos is the space station. It's not Cairn. But when we get to the space station, something happens to derail everybody's trip to Cairn or to Lemnos, and so they end up on Cairn at the very end.
Okay, I could see that, and I could see it being because they take off, he
Well, so then there would be
Well-
a spearhead where Hill, Jim,
no
Blade.
Blade going there looks up itineraries trying to like see where is this guy or whatever the fuck, and from the space station, and sees that Hill star is there.
Yeah,
And he's
okay.
like, huh. And then stops a no-fly thing for Hill. But then we've already done a no-fly. So
Yeah, we don't want to repeat ourselves. Well, so
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is that maybe Blade arrives at the womb, and that's where they have this coming together at the womb, and then they all go to the space station.
How?
I don't know.
There's no way Blade would be able to be in control of the womb because it's that AI.
You're right. Okay, so they go. Maybe they all Blade, Jim, and Dick all meet on the space station, and then shortly after, well, I guess not shortly after, but as they're
No, Blade, Dick is taking off. He's
Dick
just
leaves.
dropping them off.
Yeah, Dick leaves.
Not even getting out.
Yeah, okay. So Dick leaves, and Hill shows up, and Blade and Jim have to then like stop Hill from getting on the transport, and they all three of them end up on Cairn, and that's where Blade dies. And then there's a final like fight duel between Hill and Jim before they finally. Before we conclude, and we know what's going to happen in the conclusion, we just don't know how it's going to conclude. We know that Hill's going to get away with Jim's body, and he's going to head to Mars. Jim is going to get
is
captured.
Blade going to die on Mars? I mean, on Cairn.
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe a point of thing from talking or something is he could be like, I haven't been back to Cairn since whatever he says. But then, but he's in his way that he says it, it's sort of like he wants to go or whatever, and just hasn't. And then he is about to, and then is killed and doesn't. Or he does make it there, but then is killed. Which one sounds better? He makes it there and is killed.
Well, I think it could be cool if, like, during the battle, huh?
Makes it home.
Yeah,
and then it is there.
Yeah, but maybe he crashes on impact. Like he dies on impact. Like maybe they're headed down. All three of them are on a shuttle together. There's a big fight, and then someone gets pushed into like into the joystick, and then it goes down, and then it's like black. And then when they wake up, there's debris, and and Blade is dead. He's like impaled, and now it's just Dick and Jim, and they have to fight. And clearly Dick has the better muscles because he's in Jim's body. And maybe we even see the authorities on their way in the background. So there's this like limited fight where.
I get it, but then that's so short on Cairn. I want them all, each one has to be its episode. That's the whole thing. Like, say they're 15 to 20 minutes long, so that's each little tiny episode. So it's the, what would be a tiny episode would be
the episode on Cairn would be the like grieving, the conflict, or like the final climax. And then getting arrested, and then Jim Star surviving and leaving to go to Mars. I mean, it is an entire act there on Cairn. It's the final act. It'll be 20 to 30 minutes, but it'll also be the conclusion of our story.
So 2 times 5. So that would just be 2 hours. Yeah, it would come out to 2 hours.
Yep.
If each one of these is like about 20 minutes, there's going to be 2 more after this one. This one being 3, so that's 5 little Odysseys. Each one being 20 minutes. It's 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
That's how that math works, or is it 6? I don't know.
I don't math.
20 is 60.
How are we going to have Blade? Like, how are we going to reveal his him coming on over to Jim's side and finding out the truth? Are we going to show it slowly throughout the film when we're cutting back to him as he's finding clues? Is he going to figure it out? And when he arrives, he's like, I already know who you are. Like, that's why I'm coming to try to help you. Or is it going to be he catches him and then he has to be convinced once he gets caught?
He's convinced already.
So what are the things that convinces him then? We have to think about that.
The seizures, the story, the fact that Jim's body is gone, and a bunch of factors, you know, and the fact that he's tracing this patent thief who now this technology is suddenly out. Now suddenly we have a very good case of that happening. You know, it's just a bunch of things going together that make him, over his 100 or whatever years being alive, several different bodies doing this. You know.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to think about some of the details of that as we're writing it, but we at least have an idea of like how that he's going to discover this mystery as we're cutting back to him. We have to then, like, every time we cut back to him, we have to maybe be very intentional about the things that he discovers. Because just like the scene where he follows the footprints and then he looks up and he sees Dick's picture, like that was the perfect detective scene. Like we need to include plenty of those showing and proving that, oh, this is not Dick, or this is not Hill, this is Jim in Hill's body. When nobody else believes him, he has to believe him. So we'll figure that out as we're pantsing it from our outline, but I think that's a really good start. So let's go black here, and then we arrive at the womb. Is that how you spell womb? W-O-M-B. We arrive at the womb. This is going to be a slower scene, but it's going to be...
Put one in between. How do we do one more thing in between?
Where, at the end?
5 and 76, yeah.
In between 75 and 76? There.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, maybe not. What did we say we were doing? Is Blade's getting arrested, right?
Blade? Blade doesn't get Blade doesn't get arrested. No, Blade has the highest jurisdiction.
They run to the elite's ship. Okay.
Oh wait, we did talk about that and have it written down in kind of our notes that he gets detained, and then he has to leave and get off planet, and that could be. Yes, I actually like that. So right here, we stay with Blade, and then he gets detained. But actually, the story has changed because now the authorities are actually after Dick. So they're not going to try to help Dick escape now. You know what I mean? Because they're like, we have to... He's the one who gave them the order to hold Dick because he has highest jurisdiction. So they're not actually going to help him.
Yeah. And he's part of the investigation. Oh, what? Why is he working with this person who we're in an investigation with? You know, so he's like stopping his shit.
So then maybe we show Blade interviewing some people on Iceberg, finding out who Dick is and what's his connection to Hill, and then he finds out that his connection was to Jim. He starts putting it together in like a little montage here on Iceberg before we then cut to them arriving at the womb.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. So just after 46 and 7, put another one and say, through Blade's interrogation with whatever, we find a little bit more story about him or whatever.
Through Blade interrogating people.
No, them interrogating Blade because we're saying that he is arrested, right?
No, No, they're not going to arrest him. He's the reason why they stopped. God, all the names. He's the reason why they stopped Dick from leaving in the first place, because he's the one who sent out the detain, do not fly list. So why would they arrest him? If he's the one giving them orders, they're going to arrest him now?
Because he took out the gun.
That makes sense. But I just feel like they would have to listen to him. He's the one who's giving the orders here, because he's so high up and he's part of the secret organization. So they wouldn't arrest him, I feel like.
All right. So who's he interrogating now?
Maybe he goes and interrogates the people who just had Dick and Jim detained. They were like, he goes in there and he, like, the guy who arrests him, the guy who comes up and says, like, you guys are in trouble now, like, we've been ordered to detain you. And then Blade interviews him, and maybe even if one of the guys in the shootout survives, he could be like, yeah, that guy's a dick, he owns the place, blah blah blah. And I don't know, he could interview just some people who we've seen so far interact with him. Interrogating a police officer.
Okay.
And the smuggler. He is slowly finding out that Jim is not in the right body by finding clues along the way. Okay, we arrive at the womb.
It's awesome.
We see an awesome conversation. Exposition time. Another time to have a little bit of exposition. And then, after that, Jim and Dick say goodbye as Dick drops him off at the what do we call the space station? It's like the halfway point between the Earth and the Moon, and it's the perfect spot for launching to interstellar space.
Well, one of the perfect spots, but because I imagine there's other space stations too.
Yeah. He drops him off at the halfway point and flies away towards Mars.
Okay.
And then immediately Blade catches Jim. But they become allies and work together to locate Hill on the space station. They stop Hill from boarding the Mars
private
transport.
A secret Mars transport. Because it's secret. And safe.
Oh yeah.
By order of Gandalf.
Secret and safe. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. They stop Hill from boarding the secret Mars transport. Or they board the transport with them, and then they end up crashing it into.
They go to Mars?
Huh?
No.
No,
it's gotta be. I'm thinking like another shootout, because this is gonna be a little actiony, an actiony movie. Running action.
There was a fight on the space station.
That's what they do. Blade would do a shootout.
Then Blade, Jim, and Hill. Maybe it's not the halfway point then. Maybe it's a space station around, like, orbiting Cairn.
imagine a bunch. I imagine like 12 around Earth, kind of at the Larange section-y fucking things, maybe, or whatever, around Earth. Maybe even powered by Cairn tech. That way it could stay stationary. It's using, Cairn gravity to stay in a 12-star, almost like a clock. So no matter which way the Earth is turning and whatever, you could always be wherever you wanting to go. So how many? Yeah, we'll call it like the 12. What are 12 things? Clearly everything, because everything has to be 12. But like, it could be like the months. It could be the constellations.
What are you
It could
talking about? Why 12? What's up with 12?
12 is the number of space stations around Earth.
Oh, okay, cool. I like that.
Them one. So whichever one we have them go to is.
I was gonna have them.
12.
I was gonna have them go to. I called it the Cairn Space Terminal, so it's close to the moon, and so when they get into the space shuttle from the space terminal, they start careening down towards the moon, and they end up on Cairn because that's where they have to end up.
Well, then we'll call it something. One of the. So clearly, Cairn is the light. Well, no, there wouldn't be one closest to the moon because the moon revolves around Earth, so it would constantly be a different space station.
Okay, so they go to a space station at the halfway point, and then
We'll call it July. Just call it Space Station July, because it's the hottest, brightest month, right?
Yeah.
So we'll call it that because it's cool. For that reason.
Okay, so Blade catches Jim as soon as he gets to the space station. Then they become allies and work together to locate Hill on the space station. Then they stop Hill from boarding the secret Mars transport. There's a fight on the space station. Then Blade, Jim, and Hill end up on a transport headed to Cairn.
Yeah,
and then
not a different space stations, because
what?
I'm imagining different space stations or different transports.
Yeah, not a Mars transport. They're going on a regular transport to
Cairn.
To Cairn.
Hill is on his own, going there, trying to get there before Blade and them catches up.
Do you want to have like a space dogfight?
Oh, you know what? We could have his branch. Nothing from Earth outranks anything on Cairn. So he can't use his special permissions like he can on the space station and Earth everywhere to outrank and close ships or whatever. So that's one reason why Hill is able to do things. Maybe that's why he goes to Cairn, is because all of his security or whatever powers is devoid in Cairn.
Okay.
And that could be a thing in one of those things where he says, like, maybe he's on this going up to whatever, but he talks about how he was from Cairn. She could be like, "Oh, I haven't been back," or whatever, something like that, and he could be like, "I can't do what I
have no jurisdiction there."
Yeah, just something like that, you know. And now we know that that's a reason he can't stop Hill when he gets there.
What is Jim's darkest hour, and what is the point where Jim changes into kind of like a vengeful person? We still need to have changed a little bit
when his body destroyed.
Oh, when his body's destroyed,
I guess.
But then
or things right, because it actually isn't.
So the thing about that is that if we want him to be really angry and vengeful and want revenge and be doing push-ups like that, he needs to know that his body's still alive. Yeah. But everyone else, even after he sees it be destroyed, there needs to be that reveal at the very end.
So Yeah, we'll go back to the original ending to where he just gets away and goes to Mars. Blade dies, the only one who believed him, who has any power, and now after everything that he's done being illegal, like, it doesn't even matter that he, okay, maybe that's it. Actually,
Blade
they
is
can
the
do
only
a
one who
thing.
believes him, and Blade dying with when Blade dies, the secret dies with him.
Uh, yes, no, but I'm actually thinking that they do believe him, and he isn't put in jail for doing that crime. But they're like, but you did do these things, and like he's put in jail for like 3 years or something like that for all like
Oh,
crazy amount of other stuff that he did trying to get his body back.
unfortunately, your body got away, but you did commit these crimes.
Yeah, you actually did commit these crimes, which you will pay a reduced sentence under the circumstances or whatever, but you could have, the justice system does work. You could have came to us or, such thing. So, like, he's going to work out and he's going to get out. And that's that determination thing.
Ooh, okay,
That's why
okay. But
he's planning on
so when he gets
back.
arrested, though, now he's arrested on the moon. So the laws, all the laws that he broke on Earth and leading up to the moon are that don't matter. But when he's on the moon, there's something that happens during this part of the Odyssey that is a law, and then he gets locked away. So maybe at the very end, we have this
He does break a bunch of laws on camera.
on Karen. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Chasing in a transport.
That could be a thing they say too. Like all the laws you broke, on Earth and in the space station,
We don't give a fuck.
we don't care
Yeah.
about. But you did break these laws in Cairn, and we do not have crime in Cairn or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically utopia, but like a capitalist utopia. Perfect capitalism. It being a genetic thing and societal, how they're raised. Remember?
Yeah.
That was the whole start of Cairn.
Yeah.
Was genetically, as long as you carried this gene, they wanted you or something like that, or didn't have certain genes. That's what made it controversial, and people were protesting it.
So okay, we can incorporate all of our ideas into it now. So as they're chasing him towards Cairn, and then there's a dog fight. So now we have this cool Newtonian like dog fight in space above the moon. Both ships get damaged, and they both careen towards the moon, and they both crash. But maybe Hillstar's ship explodes, and so that we see it explode, we think his body is gone now, and then Blade is injured, and so he's like pissed off. That's his darkest hour. He then takes, now that we have a full Odyssey here on Cairn, he takes Blade and he goes to the closest like city or area, and he tries to save him because he thinks that Blade being alive will be the only chance that he ever gets to be wiped clean of his things. Blade ends up dying, and then at that point something happens for him to lead to finding Hill on Cairn, and then there's another shootout there on Cairn before Hill gets away, and then Jim gets captured, and that's when he gets arrested and put away, and then Hill goes to Mars. Yeah? Boom, boom. There's a lot. That was a lot.
Wait, yeah, I liked everything so far, I think, but go back from when Blade dies.
Okay.
And now, because I'm imagining, maybe they have jump packs or some sort of thing like that. So they crash onto the moon, and maybe while they're crashing, because it's not so fast or whatever, but it's just they're careening out of control. So they notice where a station, city-ish or something, and it turns out to be like just like a fill station or something like that, and there's like two people there. It's like not an actual city or something, even though it's like big and bright and everything.
Yeah.
And so there's no medical personnel, and he dies. And then from there, they get word that another station somewhere right there something happened. Somehow they know, or the information is relayed that, or no,
There was somebody who
They
crashed
don't-
and he survived, and so now he knows.
well, I was talking about Hill. Like somehow, like I was gonna say, they find out through he finds out through these people that Hill is going to Cairnco City, but we don't even need to do that. Like that's clearly where he's going. You know,
Yeah.
like maybe that could be the thing. It's like I need to find this guy, and they could be like, well, I mean, like there's really only Cairn.
No, he
City.
thinks his body is dead. He thinks his body's dead. But then maybe they hear something over the radio like, "Hey man, we've got this guy. He survived a crash. He just showed up at the main city. Like, let him in. Where's he from?" And then that's when Jim's like, "He's alive? What the fuck?" And then he's like, "I'm gonna go get him." And that's the point. That's the start of Act 3, where he pursues him by himself. Now he has the courage and the strength to do it himself. But then he still fails.
Okay, yeah, something like that. Then we'll have it so Phil does something to where it triggers Jim being able to know,
Yeah.
going to Cairn, that he's alive. I mean,
This is a long one. There's more. I'm going to end up using more slots than I have allotted for.
well, this whole thing, the womb, Jim and them, Blade ship dies. That's a whole Odyssey right there. So this is a different Odyssey. This very end Odyssey. This is all the build up and everything payoff.
Well, hold on a second.
Odyssey.
Let me confirm that in a second. They overhear a survivor of a ship crash on the radio. It is Hill. And then Jim becomes infuriated with rage and seeks his revenge. Boom. And then that is the hero's darkest hour.
Yeah, at this point, I'm thinking it might break from the seriousness of it, but it would be funny if he keeps like saying, like a thing will happen or something, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. I can't kill him. That's my body.
Yeah. That's funny.
But from here, there's a dogfight, and they crash, land on Cairn.
Oh, I have to add one more in here.
85. That's an Odyssey, and the whole thing on the space station is in this too, and it's going to be long, not long, but it's going to be long enough.
This whole thing that's yellow, I think, is a full Odyssey from the womb to the end. How?
No, the womb. No, it goes from womb to space station to this big shootout to this and that to they get onto these escape pods to then go on the thing. It's this whole journey through this space station, but then it takes them to the
okay,
to the
so
moon.
Right here starts another one.
Another journey, because the journey from the womb to getting to the moon is so different than his journey on the moon to the end of the moon. Like that's its own thing, definitely. But from there to there, like it looks small because of the amount of bullet points that it needs, but it's one of those ones, like this is where Jim and Dick figure out themselves and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it's going to be long enough. It's going to be a dialogue journey almost with a cool shootout in it. So like it makes up for it being non-actiony and dialogue-y, but there's going to be a sick shootout and a dog fight. So it's going to be cool, that scene.
All right, I'm down. Okay, so then Jim becomes infuriated with rage and seeks his revenge. So now what's going to be like the main climax then? There's going to be he's got to find Hill, and then there's going to be a confrontation, and there's going to be a fight.
Yeah. How? Okay. So how is he? He's at this fill station, or some sort of construction yard station or some shit like that, and like,
Yeah.
how does he get Cairn?
Well,
City?
maybe. I mean, I would imagine he takes some type of a small transport from the station to Cairn that he borrows. But I say the next scene we cut to him arriving at Cairn.
No autopilot thing. It just takes him there.
Okay, yeah. Like, so I'm imagining maybe he just, like, the next scene we cut to, as after we see him get infuriated, we cut to he's on Cairn. Or we cut to Hill on Cairn and we find out what he's doing. And we cut away from Jim, and then Jim just arrives. Like, we cut to Hill, we get to know what he's doing, and then Jim arrives and says, "Get back here with my body," or something like that. And then that's when that.
No, he arrives, and then we go back to Hill going through Cairn, because maybe we'll cut to Hill. He's in Cairn City, doing something in a room or whatever, but we're not seeing the city.
Yeah.
But we're also figuring out this thing with him, and then after that, we cut to Jim arriving at Cairn City, and he sees, and now we see it through him seeing it, and it's Cairn City. It's fucking sick, on their giant dome and shit. It's fucking awesome.
Well, that's what I was saying, is maybe we show Cairn City through Hill's perspective, because why cut back to him in a room doing something? What is he doing? Like, what do we have to show him doing?
The thing that he's doing. He's procuring a way to Lemnos with information. Selling information for his ticket to Lemnos.
Maybe he's even saying, like, look at this body. Don't you like this body? Do you want it to be yours?
And that too, yeah. Like, who do you think I am? Of course I'm going to Lemnos. Like, look at me.
No, I was saying he's trying to get to Lemnos so bad, he's like willing to say, hey, I'll sell you this body in exchange for a ticket.
Oh,
like, look at this. It's in pristine condition. It could be yours permanently, but if you let me go, if you get me...
Yeah, he'll make a point, like, your body isn't that bad, actually. But this one's better. And because, like, we'll make it so he's talking to another person whose, like, body is, like, fine.
Yeah.
Because that is a point of interest for Lemnos, is they're looking for certain people and shit like that, So he'd be like, this body would be better. You want to trade? And then they trade. Or maybe they don't trade. Or... no, they don't. But... yeah, why are we talking with him about this?
Well, I'm trying to figure out.
Well, whatever.
Hill is talking to someone trying to get a ride to Mars, and he's willing to do anything to get to Mars.
Yeah. All you need to write is for him. We cut to him, in Cairn, using his information to try and procure a ride to Mars.
Using his skills and information to try
and swindle a ride to Mars.
A ride to Mars. Okay, cool. And then
we cut to Jim arriving and
arrives
the city
at Cairn City. We get
wide
a good
and big
look at the
diameter
city
than Tokyo, and 15 times higher, surrounded by a glass dome on a planet of non-stop stars. It's fucking the coolest place.
It is the coolest place.
Nature and tech and architecture interwoven.
So then there should be some type of a challenge or problem that Jim needs to solve in order to find Hill. And I think it should probably be different than what we've already experienced. Like, it shouldn't be, I don't know. Maybe this is a montage of them going back and forth between the two of them, and then we end with the spearhead of them both arriving at the same place, and that's when we start the conflict.
The only thing that'll make it good is us knowing how each time we go to Jim, how he's figuring out where Hill is. Either way, we're gonna have to figure out how he's doing this and the interesting things. So, like, he arrives, we get 20 seconds of him being like, "What? Fucking crazy! This is fucking awesome!"
Yeah,
kind of a situation. But then, what does he know? He knows working out.
that's it.
He knows fitness and shit like that. So how can he use fitness maybe to?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't know. Huh. I was thinking, like, that's how he gets maybe a ride from the place. Like, maybe one of the workers is jacked, and he's like, "Oh, I see you work out after, like, they're waiting board for this transporter or something." I don't know. Stupid. Never mind.
Stupid.
I see you work out. Yeah, I got the whatever home gym whatever thing. We got it for the station.
It's definitely something that we need to flesh out.
Yeah.
The reason why, like how he arrives or how he gets to the conclusion that Hill is somewhere. But if he knows by now what Hill's goal is, then he should know that, okay, I'm going to go to the spaceport. I'm going to go he's going to try to find a way out of it.
Maybe that's a thing. That's a thing that fucking what's his face Blade tells him. He's like, the only thing he before he dies, while he's dragging him to this place where he dies to, he'll say, if Hill survives,
he's going to Mars.
The only way he'll be able to get to Mars is to go to this place or something like that. So when you get there, try and find your way to this place, and maybe that'll be like the Odyssey, is the weirdness and strangeness and perfectness of
Cairn
actually makes him get like a little lost on his way there or something. And he just like, it's this weird trippy situation where that's perfect too, because it being like this weird-ish portrayed scene for him, because like now he's in charge, in this odd situation, and it's weird for him, so it would be like that. And we could just film it that way, like almost like anxious, like an anxious part of the Shroom trip,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where,
it's like a weird montage that makes people feel uncomfortable a little bit, but also because it's a different culture for 100 years, a different culture. Like it's like going to another country, and
he's trying to navigate his way through it under all this pressure of everything in the wrong body.
Yep.
And taking control for the first time ever. Maybe it's, like a breeze prison, where like they call them country club prisons.
Yeah.
And country club prison, because like they know he's like innocent, but like he did break these laws on Cairn, and like the situation and everything, like he's also never been doing anything wrong, and a whole bunch of reasons why they would do this for him, but they do it for him. And then in the facility prison that he's at, like it has all this workout equipment and it's feeding him right and everything, so that way when he's working out, and that could be a point of them being, you will serve at this prison which has the best facilities and blah 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 blah, but like he's there in prison fucking working out, pissed off, trying to get better so he can get his body back one day, hopefully. It's never gonna happen though.
Nope.
He never goes to Mars.
Maybe as he's working out, he's looking at a picture of Mars.
The only thing I could say is that his original genetics go to Mars.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Hill is on a shuttle on his way to Mars. Boom, baby. Those are all the beats right there. And I really like, obviously, like part of me, I love writing traditional like 3-act structures or Dan Harmon story circles because they are what the mainstream like. They're what the mainstream, like most films and stories are told that way. And so it's very satisfying to me to tell a story in that way, but make it original. But I also love completely deviating off of that structure in order to tell like a very unique story like this, where, or like, you know, we used a little bit of Forrest Gump as inspiration because it doesn't necessarily follow that 3-act structure, but the character still kind of goes through all these different journeys. And it's an Odyssey now. It's not just a film. It's like this technically could be a series, but we're writing it in like a 2-hour chunk.
It's cool. Like you see the one color, and then you go through all the other color, and then that color, and then that color, and then that color, and then that color. It's sick.
Well, I have a feeling.
Awesome. It's just different parts. You know, it's awesome.
I have a feeling that if somebody were watching this film, much like the movie that we referenced, A Place Beyond the Pines, like you're gonna watch a complete story and you're gonna feel like, oh wow, this movie's ending pretty quickly. It feels like the end of the movie, but then it's like another movie's gonna start, and it's gonna be like, hopefully allow the audience to lean in and be like, oh whoa, I wasn't expecting that to happen. Like, let me see this part. And then by the time they start like feeling like, oh wow, it's ending, this part of the story's ending, then boom, another movie starts. So it's a pretty cool idea, pretty cool way to tell a story. Sweet dude, then we've got our outline, we've got our beats. The next step is going to be to flesh this baby out, write it in screenplay format, and then the goal is, obviously, we want to make this into a film one day, but before that, this is going to be available as a screenplay novel for everybody to be able to purchase and read before we even try to pitch it to somebody to make into a film, because this is clearly like at least $100,000 or $100 million film right here. But I'm excited to get another feature under our belt, bro.
Yeah, but you know, the people who did Creator,
90 mil.
They could do this for, that was 90? Was it really?
It was $90 million for the Creator. Yes.
I thought it was like 20, the whole movie.
Nope.
Or something. Like stupid cheap.
So
they did it for.
Most films, and I am actually going to be making a video about this. Why do Hollywood films cost so much to make? Most Hollywood films, they spend so much. They spend like 60% of the budget on shooting the film. And then they have and then they have to send it away to VFX houses to put all of the visual effects and graphics in there and CGI. But what the Creator did was they had 90 million and they spent 10 million on shooting the film because they had a bare bones skeleton crew. They traveled to real locations. They found a spot on a beach where they're like, this is perfect. The lighting's great. Quick, do the scene. And it was like us making the film. But then they sent it away to ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, who did all the VFX and the graphics. And they spent 80 million on just the graphics. So if we can film this for a $10 million and then just hold on to all the raw footage until we have another 80 million, then we can have a full film.